myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot see.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It's the start of your weekend. It's the three Amigos, and as always, I'm joined by Steve Hasty, Mitch, and Keith Patterson. Good evening, lads.
Good evening.
Good.
And I thought, lads, we normally start off with a topic tonight. Why don't we just sit here for 2 hours and sit?
Just sit and laugh.
Just sit and laugh. I mean, honestly, we either sit here and just laugh at Sunderland because of what's going on there. Mitch described it beautifully, I think. In fact, Mitch, I can't let a classic line that you just used pre-show be completely wasted.
Do you know what it is? It's a long time since we've had some really good Sunderland Schadenfreude. And we've just bought a player that's worth 3 times their club, and the manager's just pissed off. It's fantastic, isn't it?
The Stoke as well.
Oh my God! You couldn't make this up. You really couldn't.
You couldn't write it, could you?
You really couldn't. Yeah, and of course Newcastle breaking that transfer record, which, if I remember rightly, a few of you on this panel and on the other shows that you do have been regularly preaching, i.e. Mitch, Stu and Keith and Steve, to name but 4, who have regularly said, I think this is what's going to happen. So, look, great. One through the door. I guess we'll be talking to the people in the chat about who they think might be the next signing. Will there be another signing over the next couple of hours? We have actually got a new feature tonight as well, 2 weeks in. We've got Scunny Mag, who moving forward is going to be doing his away section, and he's going to send it in video like a few of our contributors do, and it's going to be info for people traveling to Wolves tomorrow. Great idea. He's written a book. He dropped the book in at the Dog and Parrot for us, and you'll be able to catch up with him towards the end of the show when we start looking ahead to the big match on Sunday. Great stuff. And I thought as if today was a special occasion, that we better let this reprobate in early doors. Here he is. Good evening, Joe.
Afternoon, chaps. All right.
Good to see you, mate. We've gone from he's not coming on and there's a big disaster, and then he's managed to come in early. So there we go. I've had it all on the Joe roller coaster today.
I keep telling you, Stevie, some of us have got to work for a living. That's all
you're
I
right,
can say.
You're right. Yeah, we can't all be men of luxury like Keith Patterson. And
can you see the fume on we say through the smog yet?
It's just breaking through now, Mitch. It's just coming now.
I think it's wrong to laugh at the Sunderland. I think you should just, spare a thought. If we were in their shoes, if we were in their shoes, we wouldn't like to be laughed at. And what's happened to them is disastrous. So I think tonight people should show a bit more respect and just give them a free night. Not do anything that belittles them, really.
Light a candle.
Aye.
Keith, let's talk about Isak.
My shirt.
Yeah. We'll talk about your shirt first. Yeah, go on. What you got on?
I had to quote the camera.
Now I can't read this again because everyone's got smaller, because it was only me and you on the screen before. It's a Shola Amiobi scored 2 times as many European goals.
3 times. 3
times as many European goals as Sunderland played European matches in their entire history. The legend has it that the last player to score for the Mackems in Europe was called Harold, and he was shot in the eye with an arrow. Great t-shirt, that. Great t-shirt. Okay, let's talk about Isak. I have to get the pronunciation right. Mozza's been on all week going, it's Isak, not Isaac. So Isak has arrived at Newcastle United. £63 million lighter Newcastle now. Broken, smashed, shattered their previous transfer records, which of course were for Joe Ellington and Bruno. And what's this say, Keith, about where we're going now as a football club?
Massive statement of intent. I think people, when somebody like our man of TalkSport comes on and tells you that Newcastle aren't threatened by financial fair play, and we can go a lot further, it sort of plays the hand of the market that we've still got money to spend. And as Neil and Steve will say, we're pretty certain there's 2 more to come, however they come, whether loan deals or permanent deals. I'm certain they'll get 2 more before the window shuts. But to get this lad, it seems as though he was the first target. Rumour has it he was Man City's fallback if they didn't get Haaland. But you've got the usual shit coming out where people are saying, "Oh, he's only scored this many goals in that many games." But when you look at him, look at the clips and look at the history, look at the couple of injuries he had, and you look at where he was sent to Dortmund, and he played at one stage in the German 4th Division. He's a cracking player. If you read Ibrahimovic's speech today about him, where he calls him Eale, his nickname is Eale, Eale. And he said in years to come, you won't be talking about Henrik Larsson and Zlatan, you'll be talking about Isak. He's that good. So he said he's got a heart like a lion, he'll run through walls for you. But he's supposed to be a bloke and just creates it out of nothing. And people go on about stats, and his stats are that he creates more than the likes of Wilson. So a 22-year-old, 6'4", and he looks as lean as a dog, like, 63 million pounds. I mean, this is dream time. This is what us 5 went to bed on the night dreaming about, and it's what we've broke our hearts about. Walked away from Wembley. My aggregate scores at Wembley 17-2 to the opposition. So, all them trips you built and you built yourself up that you're going to do so at Wembley, but it's coming. And when you look at the teams you're playing against, this lad will. I've been watching football these few games this season, and people who have a go. You saw what happened to Maxim. He had a go last week. He just ran at people, and he believed in himself. He knew when to release it, but he had a go and he put people on the back foot. This lad's the same thing. If you've got him coming at you, St. Maxim coming at you, people like Almiron, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare when people run at you. And this lad has pace and power to burn. But the he's got a great attitude. There's no pet lips if he's on the bench. He's just got a great attitude. He's not arrogant. He's supposed to be a really, really nice guy. And you can see what Howe's doing. You know what I mean? If Howe fails, by God, what a way to try to do it with a team of gentlemen, a team of people that want to fight for each other. And it's mind-boggling that Newcastle's just paid 63 million. And when you see things like Liverpool's lad get sent off, so early in the day, and you see the magic that was Haaland. I mean, he's just lightning on the thing. It is going to be a season that's determined by, what them front people can do, and that's why I want to Maxim to get his head and to be able to run at people and to get encouraged to run at people, and like Isak to be able to slip through, because he's played in quite a negative. Quite a low achieving Sociedad side. They haven't done very well, and they create a lot less chances than Newcastle have. I mean, you talk about a team that creates like Bruce trained us. So you think the kind of possession we had under Bruce, and you think the way Bruce played and the little chances he created, that's the kind of side he's been playing in. And when you're playing in sides like that, it isn't easy. It isn't easy to do. And so just get behind them, because I tell you what, this kid could light St. James's up. But, if anybody tells you he's rubbish, just say be patient. Just be patient. And if anybody, same with Newcastle, if they talk about Newcastle, I just say calm down. We're not in a hurry. It's a marathon or a sprint. We just enjoy every minute. We enjoy every time we go to bed smiling. We wake up with a big grin on our face. So just get over it. But this lad is. I think people see me. He looks, first impression, he looks sort of gangly when you first look at him, lean-legged. But I'll tell you what. 6'4", right? He's a powerhouse, right? He's a nightmare to mark. So, I'm not going to expect too much. Maybe just a couple at Wolves, but it's a massive sign, and it's a statement in Newcastle that they're not going to just put wannabes in there. And the key thing to all this is the price is one thing, but it's the age. 22-year-old, and half of Europe were looking at him. You can see why people didn't get him, because they're fighting him off for the money, and it's massive money. But Newcastle's paid it, and who come next? I know we'll talk about later on, but it's clear that if Newcastle spend money, they want to spend it on young people that's going to be around for a lot of years. Some people they haven't got, Ekitike and Pedro, are young people. 19s, 22s, 21s. This is the kind of people we're going for, like Botman. It's amazing that once we stayed up, we dropped out to Carlos because of age. but it's phenomenal. It's you know, there was 2 or 3 players in the whole of Europe you could get that were in that league, in that bracket, and you know, we've got him, and I'm hopeful he's going to be brilliant.
Hopeful, Mitch, but it was something you really have predicted with an air of confidence that we would go and do this, and it came from stage left, didn't it? You know, 690 players linked in the last few months. I'm sure that Isak's name was in there at some point, and I have a recollection of Pete Davey from Loaded.
The very start of the window, his name was linked.
Yeah. I've got a feeling it was either, I know Pete Davey, and I know one other person who is quite rightly messaged us on inbox, lead Pablo Davies, who used to do the news show that I used to do. He's the other one. And I went back through my messages, and there it was, right at the start of the window, Isak. So there's 2 people who got it right for me, Pete Davey and Lee Davies. But yeah, it was another one, just like Bruno, done silently, done away from the public glare. Nobody had a clue.
And I tell you what, this comes back to what the other thing we've been seeing all along. There's no budget. The budget is flexible. They'll do the right deal if somebody becomes available at the right price. How much influence did Wilson's injury have over this? Has it forced the hand to go down a different route? Don't know. Genuinely don't know. I suspect, possibly. But people saying, you know, question what we're paying. There was a very bitter journalist today saying we're overpaid. But actually we hadn't. We've paid €15.5 million less than his release clause. So we've been able to do a good deal, if you ask me. And I still adhere to the concept. They've got a list of targets, ABC, 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 for each position. And when one becomes available at what they perceive as a good value proposition, they will do the deal. Interesting that the chairman was in very briefly through the week. He was obviously signing the deal off. And so I think this is the approach we're going to find. Now we're at the last rounds of the poker game, that is the transfer window. And the river card's just about to turn. Because now we're finding who needs to do deals. And we're going to be involved again. I'll stand by what I said about, I think we're going to bust that 40 million mark at least twice. So we've got one more big one coming in and one more deal to do. And I stand by that. I can't pretend.
Do you think we'll get
possibly one on loan and one permanent signing? I can't pretend to chuck names around. I went with the 3 Ps because it just sort of was a nice thing to work with, but it gives you the kind of quality of player we're talking about. Paqueta has been a name bounced around, but it's been bounced around now from good places, and Steve would tell you this too, probably for about 3 weeks. And that immediately said to us, well, what are they waiting for? If this is sort of lined up, and if allegedly this is all pretty much there, what are we waiting for? And so I suspect that's been allowed to just sit and tick while they've been working on other deals. And I still think a midfielder and a right winger, will that be Pedro? Could be. That's still in the mix. It's not necessarily off. It's not necessarily on. But has somebody else suddenly become available that they would prefer to Pedro? So again, this is where we're in this mix where we are flexible. We will do the right deal, the right price. There is no budget limit, but we're not going to have our pants pulled down either. We're not just going to jump on the first deal that sits at the table. So I think it shows very astute business. I love the fact we're locked down now. You know, stuff isn't getting out the way it was. It just isn't. And that's frustrating the journalists. And that's sometimes quite amusing because we're now seeing how many journalists make it up as we go along too. And so it's very professional and different way that we're doing things. And it really genuinely wouldn't surprise me to see another 40 million plus coming in, plus one more deal. I know House talked about playing Wilson and Isaac together. Now, this is what I was saying about my third striker. Somebody who offered something different to Wilson, something different to Wood, but could play with both of them, could play with one of them, could play on his own. And that's when Calvert-Lewin come in, which in some respects, Isaac and Calvert-Lewin are similar types of players. But I think we've got the real deal tied up. And to be able to do that deal, we had an inkling that Ashworth was in Spain, but my personal feeling was he was working on something different. So got that wrong, but I'm quite happy to be wrong, because look at what we've got, and I think we're going to see. I think somebody who can genuinely deliver excitement on the pitch and fit in with that squad. I think this is now where we're going to see how manages the squad, with Dubravka being a potential outgoing, and I know that might upset the squad a little bit because he's a big character in the dressing room and people like him a lot. But we've got, as we've said a couple of times on other shows, there's no room for sentiment now. Where we've shown at the weekend, and I'm convinced that performance against Man City might be the deal breaker for some players who were humming and hawing about do we go to Newcastle United. Because they'll look at that game and say, hey, I want to beat some of that. I'll have some of that, thanks. And we played our part in that. That atmosphere at the weekend was bloody electric. I want to play in front of that. I want to go and have some of all of that, thank you very much. And that may be the difference between getting a deal over the line or not for certain players. We know football players are fickle little thoroughbred racehorses sometimes with quirks and peculiarities, and they need handled with care. And so anything that we can do as a fan base to help encourage these things is a great thing. And that result at the weekend, and the atmosphere in St James's Park, and all of that, I think might just say it would be the tipping point between somebody who'll come or somebody who might not come, because they look at that and say, hey, I want some of that, thanks.
Unbelievable signing, isn't it? To be honest, Joe, it's one which we've been sitting waiting for. You and I doing the transfer show throughout the summer. Speculating, separating the wheat from the chaff, giving our own opinions. We've had a few guests on. We've had a few of those infamous In the Know accounts on, and shared the channel with journalists. But to finally see this guy, Isak, being let out, the little promo video, and meeting the fans and hearing his first statement to the fans and what his intent is, and like Keith mentioned, hearing another Swedish legend wax lyrical and emo and almost tell him go to Newcastle, it's a sleeping giant. I mean, it's hairs on the back of your neck stuff, isn't it?
Just to reiterate, we've just spent over £60 million on a centre forward, gentlemen, and I think that's the bit that needs to sink in first. I'm absolutely delighted, Steve, and yeah, it was a name that comes slightly left field. I think we'd mentioned him probably once and just said, there's a Swedish kid, he's 6 foot, he fits the bill, and moved on. The beauty of what I love about this signing, not only about the quality of the footballer from the clips that I've seen, I think you're right. I think when people like Zlatan Ibrahimovic are saying this kid potentially could be the next Henrik Larsson, that's praise beyond belief, and I think he's we weren't expected to sign him. I think we were all sitting here this week thinking, when are we going to get that kid from Watford? And yes, that deal might go on, but essentially what we've gone and done on the quiet, if you like, is we've been over and spent £60 million on one of Europe's top centre forwards, top young centre forwards. He's got all the promise in the world, he's got all the ability in the world, he's quick. I'm assuming he can head a football if he's 6'4", and I just love the fact that dare I say, some of the bedwetters in the fan base, Steve, were questioning whether this had been a good window or not. And you think, hang on, we've signed England's goalkeeper, we've signed Matt Targett, who was solid as a rock, we've signed Sven Botman, who, given time and opportunity to settle in the Premier League, is going to be a majestic centre half. We've just signed, this absolute wonder kid. And potentially, as Mitch said, it might be followed up with Maddison, Adoy, and God knows whoever else. it's been an absolutely stunning summer. And yeah, if we're going to do it again, Mitch, I hope you're right. Interestingly, the Moussa Diaby thing hasn't gone away. And like Keith said, and as much as I've been a critic of his, and I don't know what they dropped in his water on Saturday, on Sunday against City, but if you can start to imagine this forward line with the likes of San Maximin and Isak and potentially whoever else we're going to bring in for 40, 50, 60 million to play down the right-hand side, we might start doing some damage all of a sudden. So I'm delighted. He seems like a great lad, very level-headed. I don't know if you've had a chance to read his, to listen to his interview yet. I haven't, because I've been at work all afternoon, obviously. But if I had heard it, what I think I heard was he's very level-headed. He took his time to think about it, but he gets the club and he's looking forward to it. So bring it on. And I hope he plays on Sunday, and I hope he gets a bag full.
Steve, amazing, isn't it? I mean, you know, we're just sitting back, soaking all of this in.
Yeah, talking about soaking it in. Keith mentioned they're going to bed dreaming about it. At least now we know why you're waking up when the bed's wet, Keith, because you've been dreaming about Isak signing for Newcastle. And now it's happening. But absolutely fantastic. I mean, you've gone through, and Keith mentioned some stats there, and so did Mitch, but you look at it and you think, you know, what we've actually bought is we've bought a player who is third only to Erling Haaland and Mbappe in that age band for goals in the last 4 or 5 seasons. That says an awful lot for the power in Newcastle United to be able to go away and pick up a player for that amount of money, with that amount of talent, and where he could take this club going forward. £60 million. Who would have dreamt this time last season that would have been getting £60 million signings? That's where this club has come from. You know, we've come from a position where we could barely get players on loan to signing £60 million talented Swedish internationals. Absolutely superb. Naturally, we're all buzzing. We've got to be buzzing. Anyone who's not buzzing over a signing like this really needs to get their head seen to. They honestly do. And I'm with Mitch on this. I think it's not going to be the last. I wouldn't be surprised if we went in. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if we broke our record again between now and the close of the window with a midfielder. That's the sort of confidence, I think, level that's hitting there. And I was out on, as you know, on Sunday at the match, and Saturday, sorry, and I was with Alfie Haaland, and I did ask him if he could confirm or deny that Erling Haaland had signed for Man City merely as a stepping stone to Newcastle, and he didn't answer. He didn't answer. I think I caught him out. So I think there's some potential there in the next few seasons as well, you know, because his father didn't deny it. I'll give him that, you know. Jan Åge Fjørtoft, who was there at the time, he burst out laughing. He thought he got it, but poor Alfie didn't get it.
Take the piss pot away.
Steve, just cheer Aaron the Brit up, because Aaron's a Man City fan. Big respect to him, because Man City played a hell of a game last week. I mean, they're a great team. It's what Newcastle aspire to be over the next few years, and we hope that it's going to be Man City that we're going to be going toe to toe with over the next few years. But you did have a little joke about a certain Roy Keane as well, didn't you?
Yes. As we're driving along and sitting there, and it was pointed out that it was asked whether Roy Keane comes to the Newcastle games, and I said no, he's not allowed in Newcastle. And it was pointed out, is that because of what he did to the chap in the back? And I said no, nothing to do with that. It's just the fact he was a Sunderland supporter, ex-Sunderland manager, and also played for Man United. And it was agreed on all 3 counts that A, the tackle that he put in Haaland, B, being a former Sunderland manager, and C, having played for the Reds, was a good enough reason for him never to turn up in Newcastle. And I think it was pointed out that you had no problem, Alfie. You were never ever going to meet him in Newcastle. So Alfie was quite pleased with that one, but he said he would look forward to meeting him, especially if he was with a load of Geordies. So.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Great start to the show. Plenty coming in on the chat as well. I will try to get a couple of your questions. We've got inundated with your usual photographs and pictures, so we'll get into the day I met now. day I met, we're asked you to send in photographs of you with people from Newcastle United. It can be ex-players, ex-managers, people who just work in the ticket office called Ken. It can be anybody. So what have we got this week? Well, we've got 100% Mags. Hi, guys. Here's one for the day I met from September of last year when my dad met Walt Gaza in the back page, Mickey Edmondson's shop in the Metro Centre while out with my sister. Yeah, he does get in there quite a bit, but great photograph. Thank you for sending that one in. And the next one is this. It's an old friend of ours in the chat, Donald Brains, and that's him with Andy Griffin. Great photograph. Donald, I know you've got a few, which we'll probably share over the next few weeks. If you've got a photograph of you with somebody from Newcastle United, then please feel free to tweet me or one of the lads, and we'll get you featured on the show. Don't forget, tonight, if you are a cult member and you've paid your 25 quid, your lifetime fee to become one, you're going to go into the monthly draw tonight. John will be giving you until 6:45 to become a cult member. And what is the prize tonight? Well, it's 2 Platinum Club tickets for Brentford at home. So the members draw is going to go into the match. So anybody, if you're not a member, join up now. Go to NUFCmatters.com. John posted in the chat. John, if you don't mind doing it again, I'll pin it to the top. I missed it because the chat was moving very quickly. But you've got a chance of winning 2 tickets. But you have to be a member to be in the members draw. So get involved, NUFCmatters.com, and you will be able to enter tonight. Your number will go in, and you'll have a chance. If you've got a smartphone, that helps you. Put your smartphone camera over the QR code now, and that takes you straight to the membership pack side of things. What do you get? Well, you get a cup, a pen, membership card, a scarf. That's what you get for your 25 quid plus entry into the monthly draw. So get yourself involved tonight. It is a great prize. Keith, let's talk goalkeeping situation. Nick Pope proved his point. I think, one or two of us were thinking, well, he's going to use Dubravka at the start and then Pope will have to get his chance. Not a cat and else chance. Pope's come in, done really well, outstanding performances, and he's number one, and rightly so. It appears, although we've had no clarification of this, that Dubravka is not a happy chappy, and rumours that Manchester United want to take him. Why we'd want to swap our bench for theirs, I have got no idea. But if he does go, and this is hypothetically because we don't know whether it's true or not, if he does go, do we need to bring another keeper in? I would suggest we do, because I would say Darlow and Gillespie aren't good enough if Pope gets injured.
I think the first thing you need to get out of the way is if Dubravka goes, massively. We as weak on covering Pope as what we would be covering Wilson. It's as simple as that. And you can beat around the bush. I thought Darlow was brave when he got up after that horrendous challenge at Tranmere, and I think the lad gives his all, and I think he'd do a good job in the Championship or in the low end of the Premier League. But if you're going to try and get your team to be top 8, you need to make sure all your employees are top 8 people, and Darlow just isn't good enough. It's as simple as that. He seems a nice kid. I don't like knocking people at the jobs. But as football fans, we're there to say what we see. And for me, both of them, Gillespie and the keeper I'm more hopeful of is the lad that brought out Scotland. People there, the young kid that's come down, they rave about him. They say the cracking kid that's coming through. But if Dubravka goes, we have to replace him as urgently as we went after a centre half, and as quick as you brought Pope in, you're going back to where you were. You're going back to one keeper. And Dubravka almost kept us up at times. And I did think Dubravka did a great job under Bruce. But Pope on his own is not enough. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think. And people going about saying he doesn't get injured much. Like, this is Newcastle. You can guarantee we'll get to a semi-final and he'll be out injured and Darlow will play. And for me, you know, I'm just a fan, but he flaps. You know, there's always one mistake in Darlow in a game, and yeah, I'm not going to sit on the fence and talk shit and just pretend I don't see it. You know, but my backside twitches when he plays because I just know there's a mistake in him. So go on to Dubravka. His agent was rumouring literally as soon as Pope signed. I mean, we were always in for a keeper. We went in for Henson last year, and people knew that. And the rumour, well, it's more than rumour now, is that Newcastle were offering Dubravka against Henderson last season. So if that had happened, we still would have only had one top quality keeper if Henderson had come in. For whatever reasons, and because of that's happened, and because of the way we trekked with Lingard, I don't think we owe Man United any favours whatsoever. I think like Get Stuffed comes to mind straight away. And to me, I'd be asking them for a 10 million survival bonus. You know, if you lads stay up, you might fancy giving us 10 million because that's the way you support us. And if you have a look at your form with the first 3 games, you're dog shit. It's only against Liverpool that you've actually fought back, which in essence is a local derby. But if you look against Brentford, I mean, I wouldn't be wanting Dubravka to go down without a bonus for us. If Dubravka keeps you up, I mean, De Gea's not going to keep up with that performance. If you want to have a look at what keeper you've got, have a look at what De Gea did against Brentford. No, he was flapping like a twat. So for me, I think Dubravka is as steady as a rock. I think he's way better than anyone we've got. And I think if we're going to do what we're doing, the rumour I saw today, and he's one of the most reliable guys out there, was Fabrizio Romano. He said that it was 5 million option to purchase. And I mean, I can read people saying, "No, I don't think you meant that." It doesn't matter what he meant; it's what he wrote. And I think he did mean what he was saying was it's a straight loan deal. Newcastle send Dubravka to Man United with an option to purchase a 5 million, right? And they don't have to take that option, but they can take it if they choose. And you look at it and just go, and then somebody says he's 34-year-old. 34-year-old's a prime age for a goalkeeper. 34 is a great age for a goalkeeper. And so for me, you know, look like Sir John Burridge and that. Look at Paywood. Look at Schmeichel. You know what I mean? And so for me, I would be getting a lot more money than that. I'd want a 5 million or a 7 million loan fee, and I'd want a 10 million option to purchase minimum. But I'd only want that, and I'd only let that deal go ahead after Newcastle signed into the goalkeeper. And you know, whether it's a young person that comes in who's going to challenge Pope, or whether that's a more mature person who's made his name and he wants the last transfer to Newcastle, then fair be it. But to go into the season after all this money you've spent, to go and spend 63 million on a centre forward and then leave Pope on his own on goal with the coverage we've got, it would be, well, put this way, I'm not even worried, because if us 5 can see it, these owners and these coaches will have seen it a mile away. But I think what they'll be able to see that we can't, they'll be able to see dummies coming out of prams. They'll be able to see people work themselves in training or not wanting to play. And I think what was significant is when Dubravka didn't play Tranmere, because, you know, I personally would have played him at the first game because I think he kept us up. I think he played great. And I would have, you know, me and Steve Wraith both said at the start, Dubravka's got to start. If Dubravka had started and then he hit bad form, and, you know, let 3 or 4 goals in one game and made a couple of errors, then maybe that's a chance for Pope to come in. But what's to stop that happening in the season? You know, we're going to be fighting League Cup and FA Cup. We've got a break at the World Cup. I mean, you know, Pope will go to the World Cup. People could get injured. I mean, Dubravka's just throwing the towel in. But what he's saying is, it appears, he said, I'd rather go to Man United and watch De Gea play and stay at Newcastle and fight Pope for my jersey, which is how he should be feeling. I think his agent stirred a lot out, and I don't think he's going to. So, I'm sorry to see him go, and he'll go with, you know, the best gratitude that I could give someone. He's been an outstanding servant for Newcastle. Absolutely love the lad, and don't want to lose him. Even today, you know, I wish he would. You know, I wish his head could be swayed back to St James's. But in saying that, when people don't want to be there, sometimes that's more harmful than people who don't. And I just think, why do Man United any favours? Why not take the end of the window and they just say, no, we're not going to bother? Or why just not let Dubravka stay? For Man United, I wouldn't do anything. But if that's a straight, they take them as a loan deal, I think it's nonsensical. And I think that all we're doing is strengthen Man United's bench and weaken Newcastle's. It's a more stupid suggestion of the transfer window I've seen so far.
Yeah, I just genuinely think it's crazy. I'll be disappointed if he goes, but then having an unhappy player is not a good thing either. So I'm sure we will get it right. Kevin says, ask this question yesterday, who's the best? Darlow will need to move to progress. Yeah, I mean, look, Mitch, I would be disappointed if he leaves, but you can't keep an unhappy player. And like you have said time and time again, there is no room for sentiment.
No, there's not. Now, I'd actually disagree with the Perry. It's not that long. We usually got short memories. It's not that long ago Darlow was putting performances in where people were saying he should be in the England squad. And I think you've got short. You might not be.
Not me.
I want to not keep the twats flap. I don't know. That's it.
I was at the friendlies last year, and I was down the front, and I was singing Darlow, give us a wave, and he never waved once, Mitch.
Well, there you go. You see. I think you've got to look at it from the perspective of, has an agent turned his head? He's a big personality in the dressing room. People like him, and if you are shipping him out, or we're at the risk of upsetting the dressing room a little bit, and that's where the squad management comes in. I flatly refuse to believe that if he's going to go on loan, there's no loan fee. There's nearly always a loan fee. The option to buy figure might be an offset. You pay this loan fee, you keep him for the season, and then if you want to complete the deal, it's another 5 million on top. And I think that would make more sense. That also makes more sense from balancing the books and looking at it from an FFP point of view. We're taking people in, people have to go out. And that's where the tough decisions happen. And I don't think we're particularly weaker. I don't think last season there was that much between Darlow and Dubravka for me. It wasn't quite a risen paper, but it wasn't as far apart as people think. The more Darlow played, the more confident he looked when he did get a run in the side for me. I don't think he did much wrong against Tranmere. He did flap a couple of times perhaps, but we'll probably talk about Tranmere coming up and their attitude and the way they played the game. And one of the most abysmal refereeing displays I've seen in a long, long time.
And worst manager interviews.
gave me flashbacks to that championship season with Rafa, where the referees just made it up as they go along. But I think for me, I don't have a big problem with it. It's squad management. We've got 4 keepers. One has to go. If Dubravka isn't happy sitting on our bench, I don't think he's a shoe-in to then actually go and play at Man U. That's the bit I don't understand. Why are you happy to swap one bench for another bench? You might as well stay where you are and sit on our bench. But if we are looking to shift a keeper out and we've only got one keeper that there's big interest in, then for me, so be it. And you cannot make decisions constantly in the back of their mindset that, oh, what if such and such gets a really bad injury? You know, if we could make signings based on that, we would never have let Les Ferdinand go just before Shearer knocked his ankle. You know, it is what it is. That's football, and we've got a squad that's there to deliver. We've got a manager that's there to deliver, and we've got to trust the process and trust the judgment on it. Would I be sorry to see Dubravka go? Yes, because he's a very solid part of the squad, and I know he's liked in the dressing room. I'll not take the good shot stopper argument, because for me they're all good shot stoppers. That's why they're Premier League goalkeepers. There's got to be more to it than that. And Pope looks more assured. I've got to say I wasn't sure about Pope, because the games I'd seen him play for Burnley, I wasn't actually that impressed with some of the things I saw from him. But to be honest with you, right now he's in the driving seat and he looks comfortable. And I think now, yes, I would like to see we turn over Man U, you know, the way with the pistol around with Lingard. Let's play hardball back the other way. And if there is a big loan fee associated with it, then happy days. We'll take that money.
Okay, Joe, your views on the whole Dubravka situation?
I was going to say he's a good shot stopper, but Mitch is going to shout at me. What do I think? I think you're right. I think we don't keep unhappy footballers. It doesn't fit in with what Eddie Howe's trying to do. Is there a measure of the man, or is there a measure of his agent certainly in there somewhere, that the second you get dropped, that's it, your toys are out the pram and away you go? Would he weaken our squad? Absolutely. But interestingly, as the guys were talking there, I was thinking to myself, and it's probably just my lack of knowledge. I'm not that nerdy despite my looks, but I couldn't name you number 2s of any of the other clubs. I could name you all the number 1s all day long. But so in terms of this thing about we have to have 2, world-class goalkeepers, if that's what we're saying, do we really? Do goalkeepers ever really get injured, as Mitch has said? So I can see both sides of the argument. Is Karl Darlow the answer? No, absolutely not. And I think that's that time a few seasons back when Darlow did come in when Dubravka had his long injury. I thought he was really, really poor. To be fair, we had high hopes for Woodman. He never made it. Gillespie just looks like he's happy just doing a bit of training and going home again. So, but you're right. Do you keep 4, 5, 6 goalkeepers on your books? Absolutely not. And we're signing £60 million footballers. The wage bill's going up. Something has to give. Dubravka wasn't Eddie Howe's goalkeeper, so is there a statement there to say, look, mate, you've done a good job for the previous manager or 2, but, Pope's my man and off you trot. So I wouldn't be adverse to seeing him go, to be honest. I completely agree. If he goes to any of the so-called big clubs or the big clubs, what's the point? Because he isn't getting in any of their first teams. And if he's not getting in their first teams, why on earth should he be getting in Newcastle United's first team? So for me, he can go, and we'll hope that Darlow, pulls his socks up. Steve, your views on Dubravka?
You know what? I'm listening to everything that the lads are saying. They're talking about injuries. They're talking about goalkeepers not getting injured. Pope went down in about the 70th minute with an ankle injury on Saturday, and I thought, oh, here we go. Yeah. He's played 2 games. This is his 3rd game, and he's down injured. He does get injured. Goalkeepers do get injured. There used to be a time when goalkeepers could play 100, 120 plus games consecutively. While Steve Harper's sitting on the bench getting spelks in his backside. That's what happened with Shea Given, and it happened with many, many other goalkeepers. At many other clubs, the regular goalkeeper who plays regularly 38 games a season. But it's sometimes once a goalkeeper gets injured, he then gets another injury, and they start to build up. And I think that Pope is one of those type of goalkeepers that he is susceptible. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's the way that he jumps or the way he lands or whatever. But maybe he's one of those athletic type goalkeepers that throws himself all over the place and then can get a shoulder injury, or he comes out, he jumps high for the ball and he can go over on his ankle, as seemed to happen. And then, of course, you then get in the sort of situation that occurred on Wednesday night, where somebody couldn't go through a goalkeeper like the Tranmere striker did, with malice in every sinew of his body as he went into Darlow with that absolutely atrocious tackle. So it's really interesting to hear the debate. What I would also add is that we'll make this big thing about certain people in the press who know what's going on. We have you have a certain sports channel on TV that is rolling 24-hour news, where they bring out experts, and those experts come on and they sit in front of millions and millions of people and they spout stuff that millions and millions of people believe. One in particular during the week who said that this is a fantastic move for Manchester United. They're getting a player and he'll be really excited for Ten Hag because it's a goalkeeper who can play with his feet, a goalkeeper who plays the ball with his feet and can start a different style of football for Manchester United. At which point I would hope 52,000 Newcastle fans screamed at the telly and went, "Are you joking? He cannot kick a ball for toffee." He has never been able to distribute the ball with his feet. It's not in his game. He's a goalkeeper who will slow the game down to the point, and Darlow, by the way, will slow the game down to the point where, it's given bloody Joe's dad a chance to come back from the bar. That's how long it gets slowed down.
That's slow.
Don't be being silly now.
That's slow, that mate.
But we're now being brought up on stuff like this. We're now being brought up. Let's bring Paqueta into the discussion very, very slightly, because we're brought up today on people saying, "Oh yeah, I've just thought Paqueta. Oh, he's got a bit of an attitude problem. He's a bit of a showboater. That's why I haven't bought him." That's never been mentioned since January until
Holy shit.
Wednesday when a bloke went on the same TV programme and spouted the same sort of crap, and all of a sudden we're all believing that as well. Don't believe what these idiots in the press come out with, man.
Yeah,
It's garbage. It's garbage. They're no less than the bloody groundsman, It really annoys me. So, yes, everything you guys have said, Darlow, he's probably not the number 2 that we're looking for if we are a go-ahead club. That you do need a good number 2. If the Bravga's thrown his bottle out the pram and wants to go and sit in Manchester on his own in a hotel and then sit on a bench at Old Trafford week in, week out and travel on a Wednesday and Thursday, coming back on a Thursday night because they're in some sort of Europa League or something, then fair enough. Go for it, son. But you're dropping down. You're dropping down. You're not going up. You're dropping down in terms of where you're heading, if that's where your mindset is. And if you do go, good luck to you. Quite happy for you. And Newcastle United will move on.
Yeah, just you were talking about Joe's dad having time to come back from the bar. Somebody sent in a photograph of somebody avoiding the bar. I don't know who it is. Like it's.
I rest my case, gentlemen.
Waiting on the doors.
And you were getting to use that in the wrong way,
What an asshole,
The pub was empty inside as well because he's standing and wasn't even wanted to go in.
Classic. As always, plenty to get through. We're going to go for Tweet of the Week now. Got to say a big thank you to Zara. She's becoming a bit of a Tweet of the Week legend now because I tend to go around and look for a few myself, but Zara's just getting better and better with some of her tweets. So we'll start with a bit of wisdom that somebody sent us this week, and it's this. A foolish man complains of his torn pocket, while a wise man uses it to scratch his balls.
Very good. Very good.
Always good to have a bit of wisdom on this show. The Man City scoreline certainly rattled Liam Gallagher. Come on, you Geordie Bumbler clots. Bestie sent him a photograph of him in a Newcastle top. Liam Gallagher was should be pumping Newcastle United home and away. Fair play to Adam Pearson. Don't look back in anger. I think that was used a few times by people. And there's our own John Justice Allen at the bottom. 2 years' time, you'll be begging for a draw, which is a good one. Again, don't look back in anger. Chris got that one in as well. But plenty of good-natured banter with Liam Gallagher after last week's. So we seem to be getting a lot of these Facebook requests these days, and I did like this one. Ooh, just a little bit. Ooh, Elizabeth Moore. Thanks for that. I do like them. This one, Scarred for Life. Dear Castoria, I ordered the new white and green NUFC top 3 months ago, and I've received this today. God almighty, you would be gutted. Like that is nearly as well. That is worse than Paul getting those 3 Everton tops from DH Gate. Mark Wallace and an E and a WC. I like that one. Brilliant.
Very good, Mark.
Very good. Dubois losing to a manager that calls the sport soccer is top 2 worst feelings of all time, and it's not second. Denver Bar, I don't care what you were all saying. I'm in love with St. Maximin's football. Our centre forward of this parage agreeing with Keith Patterson wholeheartedly after his display last week. News thump, I do like this as well. Alexander Usyk given extra belt for enduring Anthony Joshua's speech.
That was embarrassing.
It was. And Mark Wallace, De Bruyne, softer than Pele's appendage. And Danielle Blake, as an Arsenal fan, I can't imagine what blowing a lead at St James's Park feels like. Luke says, I love Kieran Trippier, Eddie Howe, Joe Ellington, Bruno, Supermac, Anton Deck, Beatboxing, Spider-Man, Lauren Robert, Cheryl Gaza, Lindisfarne, Sam Fender, the lad that called me Geordie at the pub, Guinness, Peas Pudding, and Emil Kraft.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Brilliant.
Zara, our very own Zara, says, after 25 plus years following NUFC at Jazzadal, still thinks like a Yank. We need to regroup. Can we call a timeout? Lots of this Jesse Marsh stuff is hilarious. Don Abel says, casually suggesting Pickford out. I think you're right. I think a lot of people would think that that is a good idea. 1998, don't get in a car with strangers. 2008, don't meet people from the internet alone. 2022, Uber. Order yourself a stranger from the internet to get into a car with alone. I love those kind of comparisons. Alison Maximin decided to start his own off.
Quality. Class.
Very good. Wes Burdine, Jesse Marsh to Tuchel. Look at me. It's called soccer now. Bumble Ward says, I met someone who has a chicken called Chickler's Cage and a duck named Quacky Chan. My life is complete. Manchester Evening News had some good news. Man who stole Viagra from pharmacy is not a hardened criminal, says his lawyer. And Randall Bell, don't think he wants another relegation fight, to be honest, in response to this kid saying, please buy some Maximin. You do know that I like me photos on this show, lads. Plenty of old photos kicking around. And one of my favourite accounts is United and E5 West End. England and Newcastle under 15s player Lee Clark pictured with a trophy after a 2-0 win over Brazil at Wembley. Great photo, that.
Yeah.
Some absolute belters on there. I've got a few more for the next few weeks. Rob Albright says, Newcastle United, we've gone from Netto's at Ashington bus station to Harrods London overnight. It's wonderful. We'd all agree with that.
Right.
Alex Hurst, the Man City game. People just need to get on board with this. We're class. We're absolutely class. Embrace it. Live it. Enjoy it. Need to score again. But even if we don't, it's still true. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the breakdown last week in 3 tweets. Jack, are you there, mate? Says Pete Redding. Very subtle.
Very good, Pete.
Lee says he's a Manchester City fan. The atmosphere here today is incredible. I've got a feeling that Grealish's daft comments have stoked the fire. Either way, I've not seen us this rattled for a long time. They are so up for it. The home crowd have been non-stop. Very good to hear away fans giving us a bit of praise. 1987 has just rang and asked Jesse Marsh if he could have his stonewashed jeans back. Excellent. Stephen Kennedy on Facebook. We have got a Facebook account. Get yourself over to NUFC Matters. We've got a group and a page. Give it a follow and a like. I hacked into Keith Patterson's Facebook account and discovered this gem. My guardian angel a day after looking after me. This one was sent in for Stu Perman, I think. For those who can't get enough, it's an app with beer on it. I don't think it's any good to the lads, Wayne, I'm afraid, mate, because it's just not real beer, I'm afraid. It just won't do. This one from Kieran Dreer on Instagram. No more Man United shirts, please. Oxfam. And I did like this one. Waking up after the sesh to find you're a Subbuteo player. That's excellent. That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This one was sent in by Joe. Me and Pato doing the crossword live on air. Give it a watch. That was brilliant. 2 down, 4 across.
Well done, Joe.
Dear me, and UFC matters. And this one from Rocky Toon. The other day at a thrift store, I bought an old record album called Sounds Wasps Make. When I got home and played it, I said to myself, this doesn't sound anything like Wasp sounds. Then I realised I was playing the B-side.
Oh, yeah, mate.
I'd say the snooker players' jokes, huh?
Yeah. Don't worry, he's still on. We haven't stolen his thunder. This one from Jordy Jedi talking about Anthony Joshua. He went from fighter to drunk uncle at a wedding.
That's class. What a stupid speech that was, wasn't it?
Who was I? Dave Wild, echoing what the lads were saying before. Remember when Man United wanted to charge us £47 billion loan fee for Lingard and send us the proverbial answer machine when we inquired for Henderson? Therefore, the starting price for Dubravka for us to even answer the phone to them should be 25 million minimum. Very good point, Dave Wild. Very good point. This one, SAFC, you going to the match with your last man, you gimp. Rob Albright says, you go to the match to take a dump. Who can ever forget that young lad, who went viral? Ready to go message board. Always something good on there. This is the prediction before last week's Manchester City game. I cannot see the home team getting a shot on target. And tweet of the week, we'll go all political with this one. I see Greece has problems with pieces of shit in the sea too. Keep them coming in, especially Zara. We do like your tweet, Zara. 30 plus this week. I had to siphon through, but absolutely brilliant. Keep them coming in, and everybody else, please. We'd like to feature them on the show. Right, let's go on to this. Gary Finnegan, Scott. What did you think of Darren Eales' interview, Keith, yesterday? He seems the real deal. Now, I don't know if you've had time to watch it. It's on NUFC TV, so I might have caught one or two of you off guard here with it. But it was only 18 minutes long. I watched it today myself. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Wow, what a breath of fresh air having somebody who speaks like that. It did take me back, and I know Freddie Fletcher wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but he took me back to that era. Freddie Fletcher knew exactly what he was doing. He might have been a bit of a Alsatian, he had a bit of a bite, but his bark was worse than his bite. He was actually a good businessman, and rest in peace, Freddie. He did a lot of good for Newcastle, commercially turned Newcastle around under John Hall. Doesn't get the praise he deserves, but I think Darren Eales is in the same kind of ilk. What do you think about him? If you haven't heard the interview, just give us your views on him and what he's going to bring to the club now that he's officially on the payroll.
Yeah, I watched the interview. I think when you go back to Fletcher was Marmite, and when Fletcher took the fans' seats off them on Save Our Seats campaign.
Yeah, you were involved in that.
I was. Yeah, me, Steve Hasty was involved in a lot more.
Yeah,
and Colin Whittle and the boys, and they thought the club, to take your own club to court is I don't know.
That was a big blot on his copybook, but I knew him personally, and I think prior to that, the guy did a great job.
It was like last chance saloon stuff. But when you look at what he did do, apart from that, he was exceptional. And when he did the commercial deals he did, and some of the people he brought in, they said he was extremely hard negotiator, obviously like a Rottweiler on the outside, but then at the same time, he had the club at heart. So since then, I don't think we've had anybody close that's come into the club. When you look at some of the people that came in, from the casinos and what have you, and you look at them and think, they just didn't sort of sell themselves to the fans, and they didn't give out a persona that they were doing something. When Darren Eales came on, the first thing you saw was a bloke that was comfortable in his own skin. He was comfortable talking. He was personable. He's obviously a great presenter. He's got a lot of experience, but he spoke about he more or less encapsulated American football. It's like that, but Newcastle's opportunity was so great that he couldn't walk away and he couldn't pass up on it. It was like a chance of a lifetime. So when I listened to him, I thought, Jesus, he could have got the job at Man City, Liverpool, anywhere. He is in the top league, and I think Ashworth's the same. I think that we've got people in jobs now that we've never had. We've never had. I mean, I've got to say to you now, not since Keegan and Robson's days have I seen some of the football that Howe's starting to play, because we're doing things so much differently. But with Darren Eales, you're giving somebody who's been in a job a week, and he talks about the opportunity, and we had some chat amongst the Matters lads. I know Mitch and Steve were talking, but you've got to put it in perspective. He can't fail at this job. He cannot fail. He can only do better. He can either do great or he can do better than great, because never before has there been an opportunity where a fan base has been so united behind owners like this has been. Never before has a club been unsuccessful since 1969 in Europe and 55 in the league, to come in 2022 and say, right, there's a load of money. You've got the richest club in the world backing you. Make it happen. So he's obviously going to get deals that's going to come to us because of who we are, what we are, and the fact that we play attractive football. We're hugely successful. But the difference with him is he'll take them deals to double, and he'll take them deals 50% beyond what any other person would, because that's when his skill set will come in. But how can he fail? We've not. I'm not saying we should sell them, but the ground, if it was Aramco at St James's and we got 150 million for it, or we got a world-class player, if you got a Haaland in place of that, you'd say, "Oh, I'll have that." The training ground's got no rights. The training kit's got no sponsorship on it. The shirt sponsorship's about to die. We've only seen one deal, which is the sleeve sponsorship, that's anywhere near like the kind of deals we've got to do. So everything this guy does is going to turn to everything he touches. It's going to be like Midas. It's going to turn to gold because he's following on some people that just didn't. We didn't even sell advertising rights. If you think about it, all the ground sponsorship, all that's being given away, or it's being part of another deal, another funding. So what Darren Eales is coming, he's coming to a dream job, but you have to be pretty poor to fail. I think what he's going to do is he's going to more than succeed. So success is going to look, but if you just sold the naming rights in Newcastle, if you just saw, the East Stand sitting there, if that was Saudi Airways, like, the millions that come in that, it'll be more money than this club's seen in the past 20 years for any sponsorship deals. So he was highly impressive to listen to. He's got an excellent pedigree. He's come for the right reasons. He is the right kind of guy. But by God, has anybody got a podium to stand on and a platform to look brilliant? It's this fella. He's got the world at his feet. More than any of the players, this fella has got the commercial opportunity that nobody else will get in football because of the 14-year of inactivity and lack of sponsorship and lack of advertising. There's been a complete dearth of all those things. And all of a sudden, this fella's going, right, crack on. We want to make it commercial. Stevie Wonder could look at this and say, Christ almighty, Nana could do some of this. I have no doubt at all that he's going to do even better. But there's going to be deals flying at us left, right, and centre. Man United have a deal like they get sponsored on the tyres, on the car tyres. There's a Man United car tyre sponsor, and I think it's Michelin, but what it says, and it's people put millions for that.
Keith, they've got an official tractor sponsor, man.
Well, you know what I mean. So they're using tractors on training grounds and on the club. But let's suppose they only buy one tractor a year. It's not worth sponsoring a club. They're not a big buyer. It's the exposure that the brand will give to the tractor company. So if a tyre company is going to sponsor Man United, there's one thing certain: the players don't get told what tyres to put on. It's not as though they get trade out of it. They just get exposure for the brand. They get their brand associated. This is all going to come at Newcastle in a raft of money that you've never dreamt of. And that's why, Mitch hit it earlier, there's no FFP. For Simon Jordan to do a speech and say there's no risk of FFP here is mammoth. It's hundreds of millions they could spend now. What you don't want to do is spend it all in one go and doing everything. But this fella's coming in, and every deal he puts onto what we spend. Let's suppose now we spend this year's 170 million, and one big one to come, and he comes in and he adds on a shirt sponsorship. Then he sells the name of the East Stand. Then he puts a Ramco at St James's, and then he sells the training ground rights. Then he sells the training kit. Then he gets the tyre sponsor and the tractor sponsor and the incontinence pad sponsor. You put all these together, put them together, put the different food in the ground. This guy's going to bring billions into this football club. It's going to be so big what happens here, and he can't fail. That's the truth of it. He is the right man, but he cannot fail.
Okay, Mitch, your views on Mr. Eales' interview?
It was a very articulate interview. Somebody who knows football very well, realises the size of the task he has, that he's come into. I think it's revealing if you look at the level of experience he has. He's a qualified barrister. He's working in multiple roles in different football clubs as legal counsel, as club secretary, as commercial director, and. And so he knows all the many different moving parts of the football club and how they should be working together and how to maximise how they work together. To give you an idea of the size of the task he's got, it's really not that long ago, while the Mackems were still in the Championship the last time, they had a bigger commercial department than us. under Ashley. That's the level of task he's got to build all of these things back in, and that's just one area.
Still do, Mitch. Still do.
Aye, yeah. And so I think it's fascinating to listen talk about Atlanta United. They were an expansion franchise. He was employee number 1 at Atlanta United, brought in to build everything from the ground up. And bearing in mind, Atlanta's a challenge to get football integrated, where they've got a strong NFL team, they've got a strong baseball team. College sports are huge, and particularly so again in Atlanta. If you look at the college teams in and around Atlanta, that big college teams with big followings, and he's managed to turn them into a top 6 MLS franchise, and he did it all himself, effectively, as employee number 1. The guy's got talent and the guy's got smarts, and he's fan focused. But again, talking about every decision he makes, in the back of his mind is, hang on, how if I was a fan, if I did that, how would they react? And that's, you couldn't get any more diametrically opposed to, hey, we're renaming St James's Park, and everybody finds out at 6 a.m. when somebody turns up with a crowbar to prise it off the wall, and not even the press officer had been warned it was going to happen by Derek Lambias. You know, you couldn't get any different. And I think that's what we've got coming in. We've got somebody who's a real special talent, knows football well. Again, listen to his background. He was an academy player himself, calls himself a failed footballer. Well, if that's a measure of failure, I'd like to know what success is. Because the guy, I was really surprised when he was appointed again. I knew we were sniffing around various people, but that name never popped out to me at all. And I was delighted when I heard the name, because I knew his background from me interest in American sports and how well he's done building that Atlanta United from zero, absolute zero, employee number 1, built it from nothing, pretty much. Foundations and everything laid by him. So, and he sees, I suspect, multiple opportunities with Newcastle United to think, my God, what can we do with this? He's now moving up to the next level, and it's going to be an interesting journey to get.
Darren Eales, then, Joe. Somebody, it was Chris Smart, said he when he first heard the name, he felt there was something fishy about him. Very good joke, Chris. They're all at it in the chat tonight. But yeah, I mean, you know, he's a consummate professional, isn't he? Who's going to take us to the next level?
Did he say sponsored incontinence pads? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I thought he did, yeah. I thought he did.
It's clearly he's writing. He's not doing the crossword tonight. He's writing his shopping list out.
Yeah, you've got a vested interest in them, haven't you, Pato? For us, we
just remember to add them to his shopping list.
He's doing it now.
We talked about this guy on the Monday night, didn't we? And interestingly, we talked about what type of a transfer window we've had. We've also signed Dan Ashworth and Darren Eales. So let's not forget that. I think Mitch is right. I think Keith's right. There's, you know, what a job. Imagine, you know, you've literally got a blank canvas. He hasn't really got a starting point. And to come in with the backing and the support of the ownership and basically say, hey, come and be employee number 1, which is effectively for us, you know, what he needs to do. Interesting about the commercial deals, thinking externally and the work we've got to do, whether it be corporate sponsorship, certainly thinking about match day hospitality and expanding that kind of experience, you know, at St James's Park. All going to be generating revenue that, as Keith said, you know, we've never seen. But interestingly for me, one of the things that I hope this guy does is fixes what goes on inside our football club, so fans can stop talking about having a crap experience when they're going to the club shop. They're having a crap experience trying to get a pint. We're having a crap experience trying to buy a ticket, you know, and getting through to the ticket office, and all of these things that are really, really important to, you know, to us as mere mortal fans. So yeah, I can see why we might need to rename the East Stand. I can see why we might need to get some training sponsorship, you know, some sponsorship on our training gear. But this guy talks a hell of a lot about the experience of the likes of us and the people that follow our channel. And it's the one thing that the last lot didn't do. They didn't talk about the heritage. They didn't talk about the opportunity. They ran us on a shoestring, and we got what we deserved ultimately. So I think for us now, thinking about, if this guy is, and long gone are the days we don't need to sell Bruno now to generate the money. We need to get a sponsorship on a football shirt, and that's a very different world. So I'm all for it. I love the guy talking about, interacting with the fans and getting opinions on what's your favourite beer and, do you prefer brown sauce or red sauce? These are the things that are important. And I think it's fantastic. And, to think that we are now running, I've said it before, I'll say it again, we are running a proper multinational, multi-million pound organisation. And to be able to do that, you need the top people, and I'm certainly starting to believe now that we absolutely have got the top people involved. So there you go, mate. There's the keys to St. James's. Get your feet up on your desk and make it happen. And I envy him, because what a job.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, it's like being given the keys to Willy Wonka's factory, really, isn't it? I mean, we've talked about the job that Eddie Howe's got. It's if you muck it up, at least you've had an opportunity to be in charge of something special. And it's the same for anyone who was brought in. Do your job properly, do it to the best of your ability, and achieve what the owners want. And the world's your oyster at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping what we've got in Darren Eales is a smiling assassin. He's coming over very well. He's smiling at us all. He's sitting there, but I'm hoping that behind the scenes he's got a dagger that he can stick wherever he wants to stick it successfully to get what he needs for Newcastle United. And let's start off on the commercial side. Let's hope that he's starting off looking at Castore. Let's hope he's starting to look at what the situation really is with that company and what its links are or not with certain individuals. Let's hope that he's getting to the bottom of why Castore only sells kit, doesn't sell anything else in the club shop. Anyone who walks into a club shop now used to be able to buy all sorts of things. Now you literally can buy Castore clothing and that's it. There's nothing. There's no such thing as Newcastle United memorabilia anymore. For that, you go to Mick Edmondson in his shop, and even that, anything with a Newcastle badge has been wiped out for one reason or another. There's something fishy been going on, and that's not a pun, by the way. That's no link to Darren Eales. Okay, before anyone else decides that they're going to on the list there. But there's been something fishy about this Castore deal for a while. He'll get to the bottom of it. He'll get it right. It might cost the football club something to put it right. If not, there'll be changes that we're going to have to stomach. There's changes that we have to live with for the best of Newcastle United. For him to get the commercial exploitation, I'll use that word because that's what commerce is. It's an exploitation of your supporters. You exploit your own commercial prowess, and you pass that on, and you get people to buy into it. I want him to exploit Newcastle United's name and to get that name out there. You mentioned in the East Stand, you mentioned there's also the Gallagher end. There's so much more that can be done at Newcastle United, but it's going to take time. And I'm hoping that he's the right man that can do that. I'm sure he is. And Keith's right. I posted up and said I think he's got the easiest job in football now, because he's going to come in and he's got the 52,000 match day crowd behind him. He's got the 300,000 people who live on Tyneside behind him, and he's got the millions of people around the world who are now going to support Newcastle United and watch us climb up the league. And to come in at the level, I mean, he went into Atlanta, as Mitch says, at base level as the first person in, and built a football club. This football club's already established. And this football club's not just been established since 1892, but it's also had a rebirth last year, and it's found its soul again. And then he's not coming into a soulless place. He's not coming into an empty shell of a football club. He's coming into probably the most exciting football club in the world at the moment in terms of the way the fan base is. And then he's going to start working with it to make it even better. That's why we've got to embrace him. He's going to enjoy the journey. I think the fans will make him enjoy the journey as well. He's going to have the complete 100% support of a boardroom, directors and owners, because they have already told him the direction they want him to take it, and he's basically going to be handed a free check to get that done. It's a fascinating next few years that we're going to see, and I'm sure that he's going to embrace it the way that we want him to, because we're going to be part of the journey with him. Whether it's because we can get nicer beer, whether we can get served quicker in the bar, whether we can get something to eat that's actually tasteful rather than tasteless, whether we can get a pie that's not going to take the roof of your mouth off, or the bottom's going to pull out of it when you take it out of the silver tray, all of that type of stuff. We did have this thing, Mitch and I, we talked about it before, when Man City got taken over, and the first thing that the owners did was they got together and they started looking at all of the match day experience for the basic fans, the fans like us. Which beer do you want? What type of chips do you want? Which sort of pie? And what else would you like? What sort of condiments should be available, etc., etc. They did all of that. They got it right with the fans first. Then they attacked the commercial side, attacked the businesses that wanted to hook onto that, and that's what Darren Eales will be doing. And he'll be doing with gusto. And you go back to Manchester United and all their sponsors. I think Manchester United, one of their main shirt sponsors was a car company. And I read somewhere that car company sold 28 cars in the UK in one particular year. That's what it meant to that company. It wasn't there to sell cars. It was there to hang off the back of the name Manchester United worldwide. That's all they wanted. They wanted the kudos. That's what Manchester United got. We're worried if we ended up with a company sponsoring us that we've never heard of, because they'll be paying an awful lot of money for it. Don't worry.
Yeah, big shout out to our sponsors as always, and we'll start with Skips and Bins. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, independent funeral directors. You can find them at 304 Old Durham Road, Gateshead. Telephone 0191 478 2730. Email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or go to the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.gohd.com. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickies.co.uk or by ringing 01768 210 102. Thanks to Away Day Clothing and to Media Arts for the video technology. And thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wolves and Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, nufcmatters.com. If you are a first-time visitor to the channel, then please hit the subscribe button. You can find that at the NUFC Matters button in the bottom right-hand corner. Hit the thumb up to like the video, which does us a big favour. Click share to share to different groups on Facebook or Twitter or on LinkedIn, social media. It helps grow the community. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and the rest. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show has finished. You've got about 25 minutes left until the members draw. How do you become a member? Well, you can use this QR code with your smartphone. It'll take you straight there. You pay a one-off £25 fee, and you go into the monthly draw tonight. In 25 minutes, giving away 2 Platinum Club tickets for the match against Brentford. What do you get for your £25? You get a cup, a pen, a scarf, and your membership card, and of course, entry into the monthly draw. If you subscribe, you also get a car sticker, and you can subscribe for free, and then email John at nufcmatters.com. He will post one out. Don't forget, the food bank bucket is a virtual bucket. It's there all year round. You can make a donation, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk, and we are always supporting that week in, week out. Peter Beardsley Soccer School coming to an end for the summer. You can still book on by going to the website, though, peterbeardsley.soccerschool.com. All the information's there for when the next soccer school is available. John from QTech also does his monthly giveaway, and he gives you the clues. Well, the first clue, just as a recap, was Zazon. The second clue was silver medal winner 2020 Summer Olympics. And this week's clue, Pamplona. Pamplona. So write those 3 clues down. You'll have a 4th and final clue next week. And then the first person in the chat to give us the answer to the question will have a chance of winning a prize. Now it's time for our friend Elliot. Just found out who's been stealing me beetroot, says Elliot. He caught them red-handed.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oi.
Very good, Elliot. Keep them coming, mate. Keep them coming. Okay, as always, we like to look ahead to the weekend's fixture. And, of course, Newcastle United travel to Wolves. It's this coming Sunday. It's kick off at 2 o'clock live on Sky Sports. The away end, 3,000 tickets, is, as you would expect, sold out. Newcastle, of course, travel to Birmingham without John Joe Shelby. Callum Wilson, who was confirmed, is out for 2 weeks. Emil Kraft, still no news on his injury after the Tranmere Cup tie. But Ryan Fraser, Jamal Lascelles and Dan Burn should all be available for selection. And, of course, the availability of Alexander Isak. Well, it'll be confirmed, I'm sure, very soon as to whether he has been signed in time. But one would imagine he will probably feature. Referee at Wolves is Peter Banks, and on VAR, which has been switched on remarkably in a couple of Newcastle games already this season, is Lee Mason. At this moment in time, don't have any indication of who is available for Wolves. But we do have plenty of information to give you. And I did promise you at the start of the show, we will have a little news section. Hasn't got any music yet. That is work in progress. But just giving you a little heads up as to what to expect at Wolves from Scunthorpe. Paul, Scunny Mag.
Hi folks, Paul here. Quick away guide for those travelling to Wolves for the 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. If you're going down by train, you can get the cross-country service bound for Plymouth, change at Birmingham, and then take the Transport for Wales service to Aberystwyth, which will drop you at Wolverhampton. That's the quickest way if you're going via Birmingham. There will be other services, probably direct local ones to Wolves. You can find those when you get there. I'll just give you the quickest one. The most convenient one, possibly, is going via Northern Trains to Carlisle and then taking the Avanti service to Birmingham International. That will drop you at Wolverhampton directly from Carlisle. Takes about 10 minutes longer. 4 hours, 10 minutes. Entirely up to you. If you are going by train, it's a 10-15 minute walk to the ground from the train station, but the away-friendly pub is just behind the train station. Come out of the station, turn right, go down the main road, turn right again, go under the bridge, and there is a Premier Inn on your right with the Blue Brick pub just behind it. The postcode for that is WV100BA, or the what 3 words is noises, shack and meals, appropriately for a pub. You can park there. The parking is limited and it does get busy, but they've got ANPR on the gate as well, so you need to pay on the door in the pub cash. They'll take your reg and put it in the ANPR system so you don't get a fine, or you can pre-book it through a parking app. Your Parking Space is the one I use for that one, and just show them that you've booked that at the door. As long as you've got your vehicle reg on the ANPR system, you won't get fined. If you don't, if you try to wing it, you will get a fine. It's on the way into the complex. The pub does get very busy. It is the only designated away-friendly pub in the area. If you're not like based in the northeast, you don't have a Geordie accent, a bit like myself, and you're not wearing your club colours, you can probably get in any of the other 30 odd pubs around the ground, just telling you working in the area. It's what we do sometimes on away days. Failing that, you're going to have to be in the ground for beers before the game. There is a bit of parking there. The club recommend parking at the Whitmore Hill car park, just on the southwest corner of the ground. Really handy for getting there. You can see the ground from the car park. The postcode is WV14RU, and the what 3 words for the entrance is survey person labels. And then once you're parked up, the away turnstiles can be found roughly at the 3 words of View Frozen Hang. It's the northeast corner of the ground. We cover the front row of the lower tier all the way along that side of the pitch, but you have to go to the sort of north end to get into the stadium from there. Anyway, that's it from me. Here's hoping for the win. Have a nice weekend.
Scunny Mag Paul, thank you, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And he's going to do that each away game. So we'll have another one midweek for the Liverpool fixture. We'll probably do that on Tuesday night because I am going down to Anfield on Wednesday. But doesn't mean that just because we've got that new little section, doesn't mean that we're suddenly casting aside our other two. First up, Toon Stato.
Hello lads, big game on Sunday and potentially a big debut for our new record signing Alexander Isak. Can he join other Newcastle United legends who scored on their debut, and will he make his debut? Kevin Keegan, Papi Cisse, Duncan Ferguson, Stefan Givarch, household names in the history of Newcastle United, all scoring on their debut. Shearer scored only on his home debut in his second game in the Premier League. Now, our opposition is Wolverhampton, who are on a very bad streak at the moment, 10 games without a win, which started back at St. James's Park in April. In the last 10 games, they have only 3 draws and 7 losses. At the same time, Newcastle is 3 games unbeaten into the start of the season. The last time that we went 4 games unbeaten was back in 2011-2012, when we went on an 11-game streak without a defeat, and we finished 5th. Chris Wood is very likely to start instead of the injured Callum Wilson. And with Chris Wood starting, he has started 15 games so far for Newcastle. We have won 9 out of them, although Wood scored only 2 times in the meantime. But one of them was the winner against Wolverhampton back in April. So big game, potentially historic game on Sunday. Let's wish the lads success and see what happens on Sunday. Enjoy the game.
Great stuff from Andre, and did we all hear in the background? Little Andre.
The band.
Fantastic. I
The
love
very
that.
start. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And I do enjoy waiting for his videos as well, Toon Stato, because you never know what he's going to be wearing. It's always something different. You don't know where he's going to be, what he's wearing, but that was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, we always like to keep the best to last. Here we go. Toon Tipster, Joe, been with us all night. Over to you, mate.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do you know what I love there? What I love about watching Andre? I'm no longer the chunkiest member of the panel. So brilliant. Well done, Andre. Appreciate that, son. So,
hey, he's
listen,
in a right insulting mood tonight. Keith's not happy with you now. He's not laughing.
He never is. So, after smashing 1 million coupons last week with our tremendous 4-1 draw against the champions, we're back to a normal close book this week when we travel to Wolves. There's no favourites to win the game, interestingly. Both sides are coming in at 17-10 or just under 2-1 in old money. The draw's looking decent at just over 2-1. Both teams to score is just under evens. Hey, tired, son? You've been up all night. Have you wet the bed again?
I have.
I don't even know where I was now, Steve. He's interrupted me. So both teams to score are just under evens. If you think there'll be goals, you can get 11-10. But if you think there'll be less than 2.5 goals, it's 8-11. So basically what the bookies are telling us is they don't think there'll be many goals in the fixture. 1-0 to either side. I've deleted. That's good. 2-1 either side is 10-1. 3-1 is 25-1, and that's a special shout out to the fella who thinks Alan Sam Maximin's shite. I, of course, Twitter, have never said that, so don't get on my case. Evening, Stewie. Lots of love to you and your beautiful family, mate. 0-0, 8-1, and ones each is looking a reasonable bet at 11-2. And if you fancy a repeat of last week's scoreline, you can get 50-1. Jimenez is favourite to score any time at 15-8. Interestingly followed by Chris Wood at 11-4. ASM and Big Joe are down to 3-1. Bruno and Willock at 7. Kieran Trippier over the wall again is 12-1. And I think if you watch back, I did actually mention that as an 18-1 shot last week. So I'm taking that. The Food Bank Fund has got over £70 in already after 3 games, thanks to Fabian Schär and Big Joe being a bit naughty in the tackle on Sunday. I didn't get the Wilson bet on, and if I had put the Wilson bet on, obviously it'd have been a Food Bank hat-trick, so I'm going to shot that money in the bucket as well. This week, I'm going to go for Big Joe, but I know he can't get booked 39 consecutive games in a row, but I'm sure he's going to try. And I'm also going to put a $5 on Sven Botman to get booked, who's coming in at 5-1. So hopefully the cards will keep going for us. The Toon Tickle last week was spoilt by one team and one team only, and that's Tottenham Hotspur. I love that football club. I love everything about them. I haven't had a chance to look this week, but what I'm going to do is post something up on Twitter, and it'll probably be Isak related because I think he's going to play. And finally, for me, in terms of the Super 6, round 4 is open now. So please don't forget to get your predictions in. Mark Byers remains top of the table. It was a slow scoring week last week, but Mark's there with 39 points. And actually, I checked out the top scorer in the national leaderboard, and they're at 50. So you're not too far away, Mark, from the big money from Sky. Second is Martin Woff with 35 points, and flying up the table from 37th place into third was Nicky Redhead. Well done, Nicky. Fantastic. You've all now got the kiss of death, though. I got shouted at off Stephen Thompson for mentioning his name last week, and he didn't score a point and was crap. So sorry, mate. And the least said about Mr. Hogg and Mr. I've forgot my password, Wraith, the better.
Well, I can't end up, man. I'm banned from the thing, man.
Please bet safe, guys. If you're having a bet, please don't and have a great weekend.
What I've done, right, is I've clearly set up this. I've tried to set this up before, and then when I've gone to add me bloody ID and all that, they've claimed that I'm trying to set up 2 separate accounts. That's what's happened. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, we'll play the Wolves advert.
Anyway, 10 minutes to join the NUFC Matters cult. Get yourself involved. 2 tickets up for grabs for the Brentford game in the Platinum Club. You'll probably be sitting next to Keith and John as well, so well worth going to. Can I just say as well, a big thank you to Phil on Twitter. I've just retweeted it. He bid £100 for the Toon Pools T-shirt, which caused a little bit of controversy, as it always does on Twitter. But it was £100 for the food bank, which is fantastic. And John from QTech has set up this one, a Fumometer T-shirt for the food bank. So anybody wanting that, maybe a Sunderland fan might bid in for the food bank. It's all for a good cause. But that is going to go up there tonight at 7 o'clock. So get your bids in, and I will, if I remember, because I am getting old and start to forget to do this every now and then, we'll put that up for grabs. So get yourself involved. Okay, I will be going to the lads and Mitch's Magic Dice for their predictions for the match a little bit later. But first, it is time to make Keith laugh. Toon Lookalike, quite a few coming in as always. Some really good ones this week, and your usual Steve Hasty tributes. First up, this one, Jersey Mag sends a Jersey cow in and says, "We know who, Steve Riff." Brilliant. I'm sure people are just going out. Sam Chipperfield, as always. I think we all know what website Sam goes on. He's starting to get a bit older now for these websites that he visits. This one, again, from James. Sorry, Steve, that looks like me on the list again. Swipe left on that one. Ugly Camel. Roy off the trials of Jimmy Rose. Looks like Steve Hasty. At least we're getting some new ones. Sam Chipperfield also says, great to see Steve Hasty trying something new with his hair. Worried about the lipstick, though.
Shouldn't wear it. Then
My own particular, I've got two particular favourites. This one, from Andrew Harvard. Mr. Hasty's just had an electric shock. And this one, not even an explanation. Steve Hasty chauffeuring, wonderful. More Steve Hasty lookalikes next week. Moving on, Anthony Gordon. Excellent, that. Yeah, the very good, very good. This one, lookalike in my eyes. Yeah, Brian Kilcline and Trippier. There's a little bit there in the eyes, I guess. This one from Barry Hogan. Lookalike for this week. What's Joe doing skinny dipping with Rylan, Alan Carr, and some BBC presenter? Joe, what are you doing, Joe?
Nothing to do with you, buddy.
All right. Andrew Bygate says, watching Farage talking pint section, and he's got Patterson twins on, the Pet Shop Boys. Patterson twins. This one, David De Gea and Hans Klobeck from the Burbs, from Tom Dixon. I think that's from Tom anyway. And this one, Keith and Noel. Oh, no. Now I think this was from this is from Rita, I think, on Facebook. Yes, from Rita. Thanks for that, Rita. Thanks for sending that in. This one from Paul Anthony Gordon, spotted outside Stamford Bridge. And this one from Tim Cairns. We've got our good friend Daz from Loaded and Ronnie Corbett.
Jesus. Oh, my God.
He's also sent this one in, Tim. Definitely a resemblance, he says. I wonder what people are drinking when they send some of these in. Like, I really do. This one, lookalike. I'm sure we've had this before. Paddy the Daddy and Spike from Notting Hill, but it's still a good one. Probably the most bizarre one comes from Roger, who gets into the Dog and Parrot and has been to a few games with us, and that's Norman, who often gets in there with a dwarf who was on a stag do. And he says, that's Mitch and a dwarf. So he's saying that the dwarf is you, Mitch, because he's got glasses on.
Oh.
And as you can see, Norman's got his breast out and is feeding the dwarf, as only Norman would do, of course, in the Dog and Parrot. Unbelievable. That one, lookalike, some Italian referee and Keith Patterson.
Really?
Tom Dixon sent this one in, Dolph Lundgren and Simon Mignolet.
Yeah.
The Mackham goalie.
Yeah. Dopey and Lee Cattermole from Tom.
I never said a word.
And Lester Freeman and Asoma Gyan again from Tom Dixon. Thanks for them, Tom. Hope you if you've been on holiday, I hope you've had a good one, mate. If you're still there, enjoy the sun. Tune lookalike, Frank Lampard and Stephen Gerrard from Spenny Mag. This was a late one, came in. I can't remember who sent it in. Alan Brazil and Lee Ryder.
Oh, mighty poor Lee. And
into the top three, lookalike, Alan Shearer and some kid at the back of the East Stand from John. God. Number 2 from Albert, a young Borough Mag. Brilliant, Albert. Albert's getting the gist of this now. But number 1, this has been sent in by multiple people who were watching the match. Lookalike, father and son. Brilliant, Roger. Thanks for sending that. But there was a lot of people sent that in this week. Too many to mention. Matt Ritchie and Eddie Howe. It's uncanny resemblance, that. But thanks everybody for taking the time to send them and making Keith laugh. More lookalikes next week. And in case I forget, it's a big happy birthday to Keith Patterson this weekend. Have a good one, Pat. I hope you get what you want, which I guess, apart from getting a record goal scorer through the doors, is 3 points as well. But have a good one, mate.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Yeah, happy birthday, mate.
Good Cheers, stuff. Mate. All right, let's go around the doors and couple of questions. Do you think? I presume Isak's been registered before 12 o'clock or whatever it was to get in. to be available to play. Do you expect them to play some part, Keith? And do you think Newcastle United can get 3 points down there?
Heads would roll if they haven't registered him in time. I mean, he was on the training ground to do it. And there's some of the fans videoed him. So to bring him in, that's an administration job. And you wouldn't have the backup team you've got in Newcastle now if you hadn't registered him in time. Eddie Howe, even his press conference, intimated as much that he will play. So to have Wilson out injured, and the rumour is some said 3 to 4 weeks, some are saying 8 weeks today. Don't know what the truth is there. He's liable to play, but to have him injured and to go down to Wolves away unbeaten with just Chris Wood on would be neglect to not to complete the administration. So he'll definitely play.
Okay.
What was the next question?
Yeah, just what you expecting from Newcastle? I mean, we're gonna have a couple of players back. We know that we've got no Wilson, which is a blow. He's got off to a great start of the season. But how do you expect Newcastle to line up?
I've been dying to see us all this week. Like after last week, because when I was in the ground, I was sat with Big John from Johnny Qtech, and we had a good crowd there. But I didn't see Steve Hasty because he was working, and I was getting we get messages. He was obviously in good company. He was in the director's boxes. He said, "Be everywhere." But we never got the chance to catch up. And then I went back. But I was dying to say to Steve, "What do you think of Maxi?" Because, for me, and I know I'm biased, but I just love seeing fair players, and that's why I'm excited about Isak, because he'll have a run at you. And I like the fact that Isak does create a lot of his chances himself. He tends to take people on, and I'm excited. Like Neil's touched on, we're confident that we're going to get a central midfield player and a right winger in. I think it'll be 2 people. I think one will be a loan and one will be another big deal. But to get maximum backs, it's like signing another player. Where I was in the ground, and I just said to John, I says, I wish I could give Hasty a big hug now, because like Steve and them all want him to do well. They're all desperate for him to do well. They all love seeing him do well. But after that, I just wanted to say, Steve, what do you think? Because he was unplayable. He just did what he's capable of doing, and what we all know he's capable of doing. But to see him do it against Man City, you know what I mean? I didn't expect him to be able to do that to that fullback, and the fullback come off and said it was a tough afternoon. So yeah, it was unbelievable, wasn't it, to watch him just go direct at people and release it at the right time and put balls through. His balls were finding people; they weren't just crosses, actually picking people out. So, what do you think, Steve? Were you surprised that he did it against Man City, or were you just relieved that he's clicked into gear for a game and he set the standard for himself, which we've got to get every week?
It was a combination of everything, I think, Keith. Absolutely delighted to see him put in a performance that for virtually 90 minutes. I mean, he came up towards the end, but to see him put a performance in like that, where he was so dynamic, he was so on the front foot. His mindset was that he wanted to have a good game. The fact that I heard earlier in the month that he had been told he would get his marching orders if he didn't pull his socks up, to believe it or not, and maybe that was the kick in the backside that he needed. But to do it in the manner he did against the team he did was it was a 10 out of 10 performance. We can't say anything other. What I would say is that I was amazed. I mean, the amount of space he got, the amount of space that Man City's defence gave him, because Man City played with almost a 2-man defence at one point. They just had the centre-backs. The full-backs were playing in midfield. I've never seen 2 full-backs who are supposed to play wide tuck in so tightly into the centre midfield, which allowed... they obviously thought that Guardiola is coming up with these new ideas all the time. He played with 3 at the back. He played with a 6-man midfield and no striker when he was at Barcelona, the ticky-tacky football that they started to get away with, all of those type of things. And he's now trying something different. But what he's done is he's gone with playing with virtually no defenders, but he's suddenly got himself a target man for the first time. So
Yeah,
all of these little equations and little things that we're putting in, and it played into our hands because there's no team better on the break than Newcastle United. You know, when you've got the likes of a Joe Linton who can win the ball and then carry it. You've got a Bruno who can win the ball and carry it. You've got an outlet when he's not being marked like Alan St. Maximum, or you've got on the other side you've got Almiron, all just runners, all guys who can just absolutely devastating with speed. And it made Walker look like an absolute joke at times. You know, I mean, England international, he never got a look in a whole game. That must have been the most difficult game that he's played, but the game that made him look a fool. Absolutely brilliant. You couldn't knock anything to do with Newcastle's performance. It was textbook stuff, absolutely textbook stuff. And I was absolutely over the moon. I wasn't in the director's box, by the way. I was in my normal seat with George.
Right.
And we
after the game.
It was after the game where I went back and sat with the guys. And then had the opportunity to introduce Kieran Trippier and John Beresford to Alfie as well, which was great, and got the photographs taken with him and had a really good chat. And Jan Åge Fjortoft, it was almost like a reunion because they all remembered each other from their football days. And I think it was great for Kieran because it was an opportunity for him to go back and really talk about the game as well. Because sometimes when you get into that situation, they don't get the opportunity to, it's just the usual sort of stuff. But actually talking to fellow pros and getting a 5-minute spell with them, I think I'm sure he enjoyed it as well. But getting back to Newcastle, I mean, the football we played was so flowing, it was so fast, it was so dynamic. The goals were superb. 1-0 down. That would have. Can you imagine what it would be like under Bruce? It wouldn't have got a 1-0, put it that way. But they then go 2-1 up and then 3-1 up, and really, I mean, Man City, the quality, and this is the other thing that we talked about earlier with Newcastle. We're going to be buying quality players, and what we saw in Man City is when you've got quality, it comes to the fore. That that cream really rises to the surface when you get into a situation where the manager knows he's got players that he can look at. And he can make a slight change, and he can turn around and say, "The 3-1 down. I want at least a point from this, lads." And they can go out, and within 2 minutes, it was 3-3. That's the quality that we're playing against. But we held our own against them. Newcastle United. That's not normal for Newcastle United. But what it shows is that there's a determination in our team as well to hold on to that. We tried to hold on to 3 points, but to hold on to the point, and to a well-deserved point. And I think the rest of the country watching it would have turned around and went, you know what? If Newcastle had got 3 points for that, they would have deserved it.
Yeah, I think the punters said that, but there's no way that, like, if Maxi plays like that again, and if he sets that as a yardstick for himself, and I agree, it's infuriating when he's lethargic, when he's chewing. When he plays like that and he's got the bee in his bonnet, and you put the people like Isak on, you're gonna, like Almiron will beat a man. You're gonna have people coming at you from down both sides and through the middle, and Joe Linton, Bruno, they're all capable of creating a pass and slotting something through. And to me, what Steve Wraith said earlier is what we're going to get. I hope that Isak starts. I hope he starts, and just throw him in and start it, because I think if you start with Wood on his own up top, I think you'd be hanging on to half time to bring him on. So to me, when you've got a fit like 22-year-old, just throw him in, throw that team in, let them have a go. Because when Maxim's getting tracked, people's going to watch what he did last week, and they're going to put 1s and 2 players on like they did under Bruce. But he's going to create space for the people. And I think when you've got a £63 million striker in there, Steve, I think that you're going to get space that he's not had at Sociedad. I don't think he's had it at Real Sociedad. I don't think he's had that. I don't think he's had a team with such a forward-pressing mentality that what he's playing now.
Exactly. I think we have signed him in time for him to play. The only drawback is he needs that international clearance. And if the international paperwork comes through, then yes, he'll play. So he's registered as far as the Premier League's concerned. It's just the international clearance. And I think that's the only thing that'll hold back. I don't know what the timescale is for that. I don't think it's one of those things that has a deadline on it, although I would imagine it knowing the way the Home Office and these people operate, there's probably a shutdown point at 5 o'clock. So, we'll be hearing by certain press guys, and like I said earlier, don't believe everything the press tells you, but we'll be hearing from some of them, those that we trust anyway, exactly what the situation is. But no, I mean, it's going to be a tough game, isn't it, on Saturday? I watched them play against Tottenham last week. I was very impressed with them. I thought they played some lovely football. I thought they were a better team, and everybody's raving about Tottenham at the moment. But I thought the Wolverhampton handled themselves well. I thought they were unlucky. And I think that it's going to be a difficult task, but it's not a task that's beyond us.
No, definitely not. Joe, come to you, because I do like it when Mitch starts off with the dice. So come to you next. What are you expecting out of the game? And would you like to see Isak start the game or come on as an impact sub at some point, because we've got a big game against Liverpool on Wednesday?
There's a few bits I can't not wade in on the Sam Maximin debate. So before I get a load of stick, I just want to say, yes, it was a 10 out of 10 performance. Yes, the kid's got the ability to do that, and he was absolutely unplayable and destroyed essentially England's right back, which is what he done. But I still say to this day that the week before he was absolutely chronic. The week before that he was chronic. And the back end of last season, he was average at best. So, yeah, he's got it. Yes, he can do it. He really, really hacked me off after the game when we were all talking about Newcastle United, and he made a comment about getting in the French team and going to the World Cup. So he maybe needs to get his media people kind of, just to get his timing a little bit right. But if you want to go to the World Cup, son, let's see you do it again on Sunday, and let's see you do it again next Saturday. And shut me and the likes of Steve up, because, like you say, we'll be more than happy to be shut up. So that's all I'll say on Maximin. I think in terms of the game, yeah, it'll be tough. I think it'll be they are a good side. They're better than the stats that Andre give. But why not? Why not? And if we can prove that we can perform like we can, I think we do. I think there's something about the momentum and getting the results and not dropping points away from home. We're more than capable of at least getting a draw against Wolves. In terms of Isak, I don't think it's a case of would I like to see him play. I think he's got to play, hasn't he? I know Chris Wood obviously, got his goal, and it was a very well, it was a great corner and a decent header from Wood against Tranmere. But we all know in the Premier League what we need to do is score goals. So for me personally, if he's there and he's fit and he's got his visa sorted, he starts, doesn't he? And it'll be really interesting if we think about how Bruno got into the side, if we think about how Sven Botman's got his place in the side. Isak's going to get his place in the side, within 48 hours of signing due to Callum Wilson's injury. So it might be a case now of saying, right, okay, Isak's now our number one striker, and it's up to Wilson to get back in the team. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good game, and I'm not expecting us to lose.
Okay. Mitch, what's your views on the game ahead on Sunday?
Well, I'm going to disappoint you. I've got no dice. I forgot it.
Oh!
Didn't be bad.
Oh! So when the unbeaten run comes to an end this Sunday, it's your fault.
However, I do have a random football score generator set up on the computer in front of us, so I can substitute the dice for that, you see. So I'll give that a quick click and set that away spin, and then I'll talk about the game.
All right.
So that has generated a score of Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Newcastle United 1.
I thought you were going to say 16-0 or something.
No, I tried it a few times before. I just make sure I didn't bring bloody stupid results up. So yeah, because the first one I found was an American football score generator. So I clicked on it and it said it was going to be 1836. They're there to be had. I didn't realise that form was as bad as it is. They're there to be had. We go into this buoyant, with players that I'd like to see follow up that performance with more of the same, please. Not just as Maximin.
Yeah.
There's others there that I would like to see more of the same, please. I think you'll start Wood and good timing. Wood's goal was well taken through the week. And he does, what is it? We've won 9 games when he started, so I wouldn't be shy to start him. But if Isak's clearance is through in time, which it should be, then there's no reason why he can't be involved in the game. Jano's right. After that result last weekend, who do we really have to fear? No one. We've gone toe-to-toe and matched the best in the country. We've got no fear. We should be playing with no fear. It now should be about enjoyment. Go on that pitch, wear the shirt with pride, show what we can do. And I'm quite sure they will. And like I say, I hadn't realised how bad Wolves' form was in total going into this game. And that doesn't bode well. And again, they're another team with a owner who have them quietly up for sale, isn't really investing. They're using the Portuguese agent networks to do their deals effectively. But their books are very much balanced in favour of incomings as opposed to outgoings. And I think let's just go with no fear and play at that top level again, because we can. We've proved it. We've shown the world we can do it. Everybody's been talking about we're in the Middle East all week. And we've been the buzz of the region and how well we played. And what a world of difference under Ashley. He would have looked at that and said, right, I'm not signing any more players. We've got enough. Under this ownership, they look at that and say, right, how do we get the next level? And that's exactly what they've done by signing record signing number 1. And I'm convinced, like Keith, 2 more in. One will be another big fee, one will be a loan, and that sets you up nicely for the rest of the season. And I think I'd take any win tomorrow. I don't care whether it's 1-0 with it going and off of Matt Target's backside. I just don't care. Keep the momentum going. Let's have a good performance, and it's about picking up 3 points.
Yeah, I'm going for a 2-1 away win. Keith, what about you?
2-0 to Newcastle.
Okay. Steve Hasty?
3-1 away win.
3-1 away win. And Joe?
Win 1-0.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Look, one thing's for sure. It's going to be a hell of a lot better than the last time I was down at Wolves, standing there with Holly and Dave in the rain, watching Jeff Hendricks score what turned out to be the last goal of the Ashley era before the takeover went through. And then a few weeks later, Steve Bruce would be gone. So any of you who made the trip down to Wolves last season will certainly be looking forward to Sunday, exactly how I will. Okay, it's time for the big prize, 2 tickets for Brentford in the Platinum Suite, courtesy of qtechshop.co.uk. The members draw, let it commence. Number 26, Jay Baker. You are the winner of 2 tickets in the Platinum Club for Brentford. Well done, you. And thank you to qtechshop.co.uk for making the donation of the tickets, as always. Didn't manage to squeeze this into tweet of the week, but Ugly Camel, this screenshot is from 6 days ago from Sunderland AFC, our gaffer. Yes. We'll finish how we started the show, I guess, with that particular tweet. Thanks for sending that in. And Julie Baker, you know what you enjoy? Well, here it is. Glenn Moore. Hi, Steve, you massive man, baby, bully, and just in general, absolute wank dog. Looking forward to the block. Wow, Glenn. Wank dog.
Where did he get
Wank dog. That's
It's amazing. It's new. It's why it was selected as Troll of the Week. But thanks for that. And yep, he got blocked. Man, grandbaby as well. Weird that one. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Over 750 live in the chat tonight, which was fantastic. We've had some great viewing figures, and I have noticed in recent weeks our figures have gone up, as have everybody else's, and it's the feel good factor. People want to listen to fans and listen to ex-players and journalists talking about the feel good factor at Newcastle, and it's great. But as always, thank you to everybody in the chat. Thanks to the moderators as well. Go on.
Quick heads up for next week. I think I'll be joining you from Germany, so Christ knows what kind of state I'm going to be in. But there you go.
Wow. Well, as long as you keep your banger and your budgie smugglers, mate, I don't think we'll have any issues getting banned off YouTube. As always. Yeah, exactly. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks to Buramag. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Andre. Thanks to Scunny Paul. Thanks to Mitch. Thanks to Keith Patterson. And we hope he has a great birthday, because if one man deserves it, it is him. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the match. See you next week.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, everyone.